three people at the Huffington Post collaborated on a really interesting piece. Lucia Graves, Ryan Grimm, and Ben Craw. What they did was first they went to GOP.gov and they found the talking points that the Republicans had set out for their members. And then Ben Craw, who's their video guy, put together a video of them simply repeating those talking points and all of them doing it over and over again. When later in the piece they asked the GOP, hey, these talking points seem to be on your website and here they are repeated. You know what the Republicans did? They said, oh, no, those talking points weren't meant to be public, and they took them off the web. That's awesome. Now, are they all repeating the same talking points? Well, we're going to let you decide. Clip number 12.
$3.6 trillion budget released by President Obama spends too much, taxes too much, borrows too much.
This budget spends too much, it taxes too much, and it borrows too much.
It spends too much, it taxes too much, and it borrows too much.
This budget spends too much, the budget taxes too much, the budget borrows too much.
Simply put, the budget spends too much, it taxes too much, and it borrows too much.
The president's budget spends too much, taxes too much, and borrows too much, and the American people know it.
The spending in this budget is so massive.
Spending in this budget is so massive.
The spending in this budget is so massive.
The spending in this budget is so massive.
This budget is so big
that independent estimates say they're going to need another 250,000 people, 250,000 more federal, Washington bureaucratic workers just to spend all the money.
That some estimate more than 250,000 government workers will be needed to spend it all.
That independent estimates suggest roughly 250,000 new federal bureaucrats may be needed just to spend it all.
That independent estimates suggest roughly 250,000 new government bureaucrats may be needed just to spend it all.
That according to the Heritage Foundation estimates, 250,000 new federal bureaucrats may be required just to spend it all.
One independent estimate suggests that the federal government will have to hire 250,000 new bureaucrats just to pass out all the money.
At a moment when the economy is already seriously challenged.
At a time when the stock markets are unsteady.
At a time when we can't afford it.
At a time when Utahns and Americans are tightening their wallets.
Families are tightening their budgets.
The president's plan includes the largest tax increase in history.
It contains the largest tax increase in American history.
The biggest tax hike in history.
This budget contains the largest tax increase in the history of our country.
We need to remember that middle-class families and small businesses are making sacrifices.
The American people are making the sacrifices.
At a time when middle-class families and small businesses are making sacrifices.
Middle-class families and small businesses are making sacrifices.
Middle-class families and small businesses are making sacrifices when it comes to their own budget.
When it comes to their own budget.
With their own budgets.
Middle-class families and small businesses all across this country. These are the people who are making the financial sacrifices every day.
But not in Washington. The federal government continues to spend trillions of taxpayer dollars on bailouts and new government programs.
Washington continues to spend trillions of dollars on bailouts and new government programs.
Yet Washington continues to spend trillions of taxpayer dollars on bailouts and other government programs.
Yet Washington continues to spend trillions of taxpayer dollars on bailouts and other government programs.
Yet Washington continues to spend trillions in taxpayers' dollars on bailouts and big government programs.
Trillions for bailouts and other government spending.
Bailouts and on wasteful government programs.
It's business as usual in Washington.
So, come on, right? That's amazing. They're robots.
Yeah.
They're all robots.
And those were those are points from the website.
Those are points that all talking points taken from GOP.gov. Now, look, it's one thing that you say, hey, look, they're disciplined, they stay on point,
Sure.
As Bush said, in order to catapult the propaganda, I got to repeat things, right? But if you notice in the middle, one of them said, oh, it's from, these numbers are from an independent, place, and then somebody else slipped in there that it was the Heritage Foundation.
John Kyle mentioned the Heritage Foundation.
Right. In fact, all those so-called facts are fed to them by the Heritage Foundation, which gets funding from people like the Koch brothers, whose job is to make sure, or whose aim is to make sure that they get lower taxes and less regulation so that they can continue to do business as they want. So this is the reason that I tell you that is because it's all part of the same machine. And the goal of the machine is lower taxes for the richest people and get rid of regulation so Wall Street can do whatever they want, the oil companies can do the pollution like Koch brothers want to do, and not have environmental regulation.
And the thing of it is that is, if you're the Koch brothers And you obviously want lower taxes, and you want benefits to move your company offshore where you don't have to pay any taxes. And if you're part of the financial structure of this country, and then you want less regulation. I get all that.
Right.
That's your business. Of course you do. Just understand that when they then make the argument that that's what's good for the economy, they couldn't have had less regulation over the last 30 years, and really over the last 10 years since Bush got into office was the massive, started with Clinton, but most of the deregulation occurring then. Well, we know what happened. So I get that they want it. Of course they want it. No harm in wanting it. The harm is in giving it to them and allowing them to make that second argument that that's what's good for the economy. God forbid you put these regulations on it, you'll stifle growth.
Right, and the harm is that these Republicans are disingenuous. Like, that's why we're having a silly debate in this country. I mean, these guys are literally like corporate robots. Well, not quite literally, because they apparently are still human beings, but almost, they're...
You know they're human beings because John Kyle did this at the end of his thing, when he was repeating one of those points. It would require 250,000 more federal workers just to spend the money. No robot would take his glasses off.
Right, so let me be more fair and accurate. They're paid actors at working for the largest multinational corporations in the world.
They are on a reality show. They're the cast of Jersey Shore, and they're on a reality show, and the cameras are on, and they're playing their parts.